Welcome everyone. Andy, you want to give it maybe a minute for people to kind of filter in?
Yep, that sounds good.
All right. So let's do some idle chit chat. Andy, what's the next Drupal camp that you're going to?
That'll be next week, right? Florida Drupal Camp,
Next, not this weekend, but the
the
following
following
weekend.
weekend. Yep.
Yep. Florida Drupal camp in beautiful, sunny Orlando, Florida. And it's going to be nice and warm. It's going to probably be in the 70 or 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which
Do the
for
math.
the yeah, I can't do the Celsius math off the top of my head, but it's t-shirt weather in the day and hoodie weather in the evenings. And I think that's what we should start using. Um, you want to get going? Like, let me drag down my screen and share. All right, slideshow. So hopefully my screen is showing.
It is.
All right, so welcome everybody. Andy and I are super duper excited about this. So we're talking about a couple of really cool things. We're talking about number one, our new theme called Meridian, which obviously we're super fans of, and we have put in some blood, sweat, and tears. Especially Andy has put in some tears and, and frustrations, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And I'm super excited about Drupal CMS 2.0. Drupal CMS 2.0, for those of you that don't know, was released maybe about a week or two ago, and it's really a big deal, just because it includes Drupal Canvas, and which for those of you that don't know, that's the drag and drop builder for Drupal, and the goal of it is to just become like the default way that you're going to build your landing pages, and in the future build your entire site. So for those of you that I have not met, my name is Mike Herschel. I have been involved with Drupal for 18 plus years. I'm probably coming up on that 19 at some point soon. I do a lot of Drupal core development. I'm the primary developer behind Olivero, which is Drupal's default theme. I do a lot of core contribution. I am a CSS maintainer or CSS subsystem maintainer for Drupal core. I help bring single directory components into Drupal core, and just like recently, I've just been going on a tear through the navigation module, which is, that's replacing the new toolbar module. And yesterday, I created something like 5 merge requests for various accessibility issues, so we can get the navigation module into Drupal core within the standard profile. So for any of those that want to do any type of reviews, feel free to track those down and test them out. Andy, go ahead.
Yep, my name's Andy Giles. I started in 2012 doing like Drupal consulting and development, and last year started DripYard with Mike. One of the biggest problems I had was really being able to do a full site build from end to end with Drupal, being a primarily focused on backend development. And the new things in Drupal, Canvas and CMS2 and DripYard, all those things together are like filling that gap that I always had. So excited to be doing all this stuff at this time in Drupal.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, we sell themes. It would be really cool if we were wealthy enough to give them away, but unfortunately, we're not there. We have 3 themes, which doesn't sound like a heck of a lot, but what we're going to show off today is how versatile they are. Depending on the imagery, depending on the colors, and depending on your components that you select, you can make drastically different looking websites with just one theme. And all of these are super duper accessible. All of them are very beautiful and follow best practices. They're very performant, they're very fast. They all have Canvas support, like first class Drupal Canvas support. In fact, like we work with the Canvas team pretty closely because we're frequently on the bleeding edge, and we tend to find a lot of bugs before other people do. And the Canvas team is just amazing because a lot of them tend to fix those. And I want to give a special shout out to Christian, who is fixing some stuff for us right now. Um, so yeah, so we're gonna kind of work through the newest theme, Meridian, and kind of show you that like, we're selling this for $500, but it's worth significantly amount of significantly more than that. And as a matter of fact, I think we have some coupon codes if you want to throw those up on the screen, Stephen, and they'll give you a little bit extra off to kind of save your pennies. While those coupon codes are up there, so in our web form on our website that y'all filled out, we asked, why are you joining? And there was some funny stuff in there. We kind of stripped some of it out. But a lot of it is just like, let's see how it works with Canvas. And one of the things that I really like is what's different between Meridian and Neon Byte, which is one of our first themes, and how can DripYard themes be customized so they don't look the same? I don't know if you ever see Olivero. It's so easy to be picked out, but I think DripYard themes are a lot more versatile. So we have an agenda that only 7 items. I guess we're in number 2 already, and we're going to do some Q&A at the end. And yeah, so we're going to start. I'm going to start with a little bit of Drupal CMS 2.0, and I am going to just give a quick overview and demo of it, and just talk about it, talk about how awesome it is. We're going to switch it over to Andy. He's going to talk a little bit about Meridian. He's going to do some recipe install so you can kind of see that in action. We're going to come back to me and we're going to go over new components and changes to components. And this is kind of exciting because it'll give everyone, especially even people that haven't yet purchased the theme, it'll give you all an option to kind of see how everything works, and at that point we'll get into the future and Q&A and go from there. So I guess I think Andy, you're up first, if I am correct. If hopefully you're ready.
You're doing the CMS.
Oh, darn it. Yeah, you're right. All right.
Nice
Well,
try.
he does. All right. So I do have Drupal CMS installed. So this is this is the default installation for Drupal CMS, but what I'm going to do right here is I am going to install Byte. So to do this, I'm going to do a SQL drop. We're going to go through this installation just as normal. So ddev drush SQL drop, yes. And that will clear out the database. And when I refresh, we're going to go through the installation right here. And I'm going to select Byte. So Drupal CMS ships with like its main. This is a site template right here. Byte. It comes with a theme and it comes with some default content and it comes with some configuration. And what's super cool about it is it just gives you everything to kind of get started. The use case for Byte is software as a service startup. And so it doesn't doesn't do everything.
What did you
Andy, you
do?
want to? I did a site install.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing like a live demo.
I know,
You want me to
right?
try and demo mine?
Yeah, let's switch over to you right here. I'm going to get this going.
All right. So we'll come back to that. We want to show Byte and CMS and all the stuff that comes that you can download from Drupal.org and really celebrate the people that have been responsible for getting that going and providing that as an open source tool to everyone. Obviously, our themes are a mixed license, so not fully open source, but we, we build on Drupal as any other theme normally would, right? It's made with best practices for Drupal development and how we handle um, config and everything like that. So I think to show what you would expect, like if you buy a theme and you go to your dashboard and download it, you get a zip file. And if we unpack this zip file, you'll see there's a DripYard themes directory that's created. And then within that, And this is taking longer than expected, but within that, there are the three themes that make up your purchase. Basically, there is DripYard Base, which is kind of our shared component library. Here we go. So you got our shared component library, base like CSS styles and other libraries that we depend on, and then the theme you purchased, as well as a subtheme. And we recommend that you use the subtheme or use the starter kit that is baked into DripYard Base, which will create a subtheme based on your purchase theme as well. And the reason for that is, we're constantly rolling new releases. As you can see right now, I'm demoing a 1.1 release candidate that we'll have out later today. And the process is, you would download the latest update if you already had it installed, and you would just drop in these two folders into your site to get the latest updates. And that's going to include, potentially new recipes, also new components, things that are keeping up with CMS. We had sorry, not CMS, but Canvas, they had a release from 1.0 to 1.1 recently, and we're tracking that. So all that stuff is in there. So now that you have the theme installed, this is what Mike was showing, which is just Drupal CMS out of the box without Byte. And if we go to our themes, we'll install and set default for the subtheme. And if you've seen some of our demos before in our webinars, you know a little bit what's going on here. We've got the theme settings. We've got, the typical stuff like logo image to use. We also have color schemes. This is new in the 1.1 release for DripYard, and that is a secondary base color. And so we have, nice color schemes that you can choose from, or you can roll your own. And the secondary color is applied to themes. So you can see, you can make your whole site the secondary color or the primary color. You can do white, light, dark, and you can even pretty easily have like a JavaScript widget to switch between light and dark mode, or inherit, from the OS if you want to do that as well. In the layout settings, we've got stuff like max width and border radiuses for buttons and other elements throughout the page. So just, between the color scheme and the width and radiuses, you can get pretty drastically different sites out of our theme. In the header settings, you can change the menu theme as well. So if you want, a white menu bar or a dark menu bar, you've got those options. Also, you can use your primary and secondary colors. So really anywhere you see a theme in our themes, you can change and select from these options. And the beautiful thing about it is Mike's worked really hard to make sure that if you select primary, that all the components that are inside that themed item are accessible. So the color and contrast will automatically adjust based on what you select. And we determine like if primary is dark or light, and that's how we show, if you put content on a primary a pane or component, and primary is a dark color, then your text will automatically be light. So we'll keep going. A couple things here. You can do the theme settings on the footer as well. And then we've got some social media links integration where you can just paste those in. So what I'm going to do here is come on down and install demo content for Canvas. And this is our Canvas demo. You may have seen this in our Canvas webinar if you watched that for Neon Byte. This one's specific to Meridian. These two recipes, there's one for Layout Builder, there's one for Canvas. They do install demo content, and there's a decent amount of it. So I wouldn't recommend doing this like on your site that you're planning to roll out to production, because you might have a little bit of cleanup to do if you do that. But if you have like a dev site or something, go ahead and install this, because it gives you a good idea of our best practices for building DripYard themes. And so this will take just a minute, but it's installing a bunch of stuff, or applying, I should say, since it's a recipe. There's a lot of configuration for block types. So even though we're using Canvas, we still install the configuration for our blocks that mirrors our SDCs so that you can use those in other element or other sections of the site that aren't within the Canvas page. And you'll see once that's installed, if I go to the home page, you've got this nice, looking site. And I actually, since I changed the color in the demo, in the theme settings, it actually changed it here. I wasn't expecting that. But it still looks great. We've got the nice primary color. We've got carousels and things that you would expect in here. We've got some new components. We've got a new layout, which Mike will walk you through. But really, you can build a pretty incredible landing page with our components now. So if I go into the editor, the one thing I want to show specifically is how we're handling layouts now. And you'll see Mike did this really awesome job where we've got a new component called, let me pull up the layers. We'll start with the base section. So let me kind of get this where you can see it better. So you start with a base section and then you drop in a grid wrapper. And when you drop in a grid wrapper, that automatically shows you the columns and gutters with this kind of overlay so you can see where things will be placed. And then inside the grid wrapper, you can drop multiple cells. So if we look in this component and kind of collapse these down, you'll see I've got 4 or 5 cells of the content, and we have full control over these. So if you want them to be 6 columns on a large screen and 12 columns on a medium screen or a small screen, you have a full control over the CSS grid to lay these out. And then once you have them laid out, you can create a pattern from it. So like we're really embracing the fact that you can create complex layouts and then create a pattern, and then it's reusable, and you don't have to worry about kind of managing all of this nested stuff, which with Canvas can get overwhelming at times. It takes a little bit.
What is a pattern, Andy?
Yep. Yeah. So a pattern is, we actually ship patterns with the site, but let's say if I wanted to take this whole section and make it a pattern, I can create a pattern and call it our promo grid, something like that. Probably a terrible name, but going to go ahead and create that. And then if I go to a new page, and I go in here and go to patterns, then you should see our promo grid. And if I drop it in, it's got everything right there. So you can really, pre-populate images and text, buttons, everything that a content editor would need. As like a site builder that has a little bit more experience with CSS grid and our components and building out these things, that person would create this and then hand it off to a content editor. They would just drop the pattern in, and then they have the really elegant interface of Canvas to come in here and just make edits, replace images, reorganize things, copy paste, all those things. So it's like patterns are one of my favorite features of Canvas because of this, the reusability and the fact that it just simplifies kind of sometimes the nested stack of components that's required to make a nice layout. So yeah, let's see, where were we? Let me go back to the home page, and I'm actually going to kick over to our demo site so you can see. So this is what the default content that we ship looks like if you install it with the color scheme that we've defined. And we've got a really nice drop-down menu that comes with it. Supports up to 3 layers of navigation, and Mike did a really incredible job making sure this looks nice. You could stuff this thing full of a ton of links and it's going to look nice, and then when you're on mobile, it collapses down properly. All the things that you would expect in a modern theme. Let's see, we've got video support, icon cards. This is actually a new component called icon list, I believe. Is that right, Mike?
Correct.
Where it's an unordered list, and then you can specify an icon with each one. So that's pretty cool. Um, and we've got, icon cards and the footer. So yeah, that's what Meridian looks like. I'm going to hand it back over to Mike. Hopefully your demo is ready to take back over.
Yeah, I totally did. Yeah, yeah. If you can throw my screen up there, Stephen.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think I had to restart DDev, which is the local kind of web server that I ran. So this is Drupal CMS out of the box right here, and what I really, as I said, it looks it really looks good out of the box. I'm like really proud of Drupal. I've done a little bit of contribution to Byte, and I'm really happy with it. But I want to kind of highlight some differences uh, of our theme versus Byte, and kind of just to kind of prove the value of our themes. Um, so uh, here, let me open up Canvas right here. So I'm going to hit edit. And you can kind of see that like immediately we can start dragging stuff around as you would expect, and it's pretty good. Some of the things that Byte does not do out of the box, it doesn't support multi-level drop-down menus. There are certain types of things where like you can kind of see, if we change our section color. The text will change, but there are certain things that don't change. Like if we drop like say an icon card in here and change this back, sometimes it doesn't change. Let's see if we can get it to change. That looks all right. And accent. You can kind of see how like the the colors don't change, and that's something that we kind of have figured out pretty well with our DripYard themes, and I'm really proud of that. Byte is very accessible. We are also very accessible. Byte doesn't necessarily support everything that Drupal core gives it out of the box. An example is like the default core comments. That's just not like Byte is a site template, and it is uh, tailored for software as a service company. Like it's kind of and that's just the default core comment module is just something that's not needed for that. So there's a lot of like things like that are kind of not supported. DripYard themes support everything straight out of the box, including comments, including like all the funky table options that views outputs, including like sortable tables and sticky tables and everything like that, responsive tables. I haven't tested that with Byte, but I'm not, that's just something that we do very, very well. And we also fix a lot of various like Drupal core stuff. So like drop buttons are very good and things like that if you're familiar with that. And we kind of take over some of like the vertical tabs and stuff. But I am overall like really proud of Byte. Another difference of Byte is that it makes heavy use of Tailwind CSS, which for those of you that don't know, it's a way to kind of do very granular styles, and it tends to work really well. We tend to do like vanilla straight CSS using BEM syntax, and we tend to do that because it's very, very flexible. Sometimes you don't have the same layer of flexibility with Tailwind CSS unless you start kind of writing various different apply statements and stuff like that. Um, so initially, I was going to install Meridian while Andy was doing his demo, but now I'm gonna redo a site install Meridian, then we're gonna walk through some components right here. So we're going to do that SQL drop again. We're going to do that install, and hopefully everything kind of works right out of the box. And let's
And if you
refresh
didn't
right.
see in the chat and you're attending, at Herschel is not a domain. That's why it failed the first time.
Oh, did it? Well, that's a
Yeah,
bug.
you did Mike at Herschel. Forgot the .com.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Well, someone file that bug
Yep.
because it
Adam
should it
says
should.
it's a known issue.
All right. Well, of course we ran into it.
Yeah. Just to trip us up a little bit along the way.
Yeah, live demos are the best.
That's right.
I as this is installing, my worst ever live demo story was, and it was in DrupalCon Lille in France, and I was demoing SDCs, and my computer totally hard locked straight in the middle of the presentation as I had this video that was going, and I would narrate over it, and it kind of did a hard lock, and I had to reboot, went through the video again, hard lock again, did one more hard lock, and then I was just like, yeah. So I am going to install Meridian at this point. Um, then we are going to install those recipes, and then I'm going to start walking through some components right here. I want to give a shout out to Andy as these recipes are installing. Managing these recipes has been a bit of a chore. Like he's been writing script to kind of manage it. We have to ship different sets of recipes for different versions of Canvas and like versus Drupal CMS and Drupal core, which you can kind of imagine is a lot to test, a lot to handle. Luckily, like we've been talking with various different Canvas developers, and they have an issue to kind of kind of fix some of that stuff. So here we are once again with Meridian. This is very similar to what Andy just showed you. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of show some different components, and we're just going to do these right out of the box. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disable the title, the page title for the whole site wide. We have a module that can disable page titles just for Canvas pages, but I don't have the module installed. So let's open up a new Canvas page, and we're going to work down these components kind of one by one. So to create a new Canvas page, you just go to new, and I'm going to throw this up at /test and just quickly publish this right here. So right now we have a blank page right here. Let's get back into Canvas. And so the first thing I really want to show off is like our new sections and grid wrappers. Andy kind of initially went over this, but it's really, really, really cool. So I want to kind of show off the flexibility of this. So for those of you that already have our themes, before you were using dynamic section, I'm going to drop this in really quick, is like really cool. You can set your number of columns, you can set your number of rows, and you can set different alignment options right here. But it has some usability issues. Like number one, like we have some props that are exposed even when the column count is one, we shouldn't be seeing 3-column layout options. We have a module that kind of cleans this up, but we can't do this only through the theme. Another issue that we have is for each dynamic section, it shows a whole bunch of different cells. It supports up to 16 different items here, like 4x4. And this can kind of get a little overwhelming in in your editor. So we came up with a new kind of method to do this, and it combines a couple different components. They're all listed under the DripYard layout section right here. So the first component is just a basic section right here. The basic section provides default content or default padding above and below. It gives you a header content and then some section content. So so at this point, we can drop in like maybe like a wide card and throw in a title and CTA. Let me do that right here. And you can kind of see things are kind of looking all right. This doesn't necessarily look bad, but let's go ahead and split the cards up, or split the section up to show more items. So at this point, we're going to drop in a grid wrapper. The grid wrapper really doesn't do much out of the box, except for you can override the gutter width for both the columns and the rows, and it sets up kind of a 12-column grid. And 12 columns is kind of a default way because you can evenly split it between, you can split it by 2, you can split it by 3, and you can split it by 4. So at this point, we drop grid cells in here. And so the grid cells, let me drop a card in here. So the grid cells allow it to just kind of, you at large widths, we're only taking up, I think, like 1/3, and at medium widths, it'll I think take up half. So let me fix this right here, so you can kind of see as I let me get into this grid cell really quick. You can see the props here. So we have options for padding, and we have options to change the theme. The theme is what Andy was talking about before. So I'm gonna kind of clone this grid cell right here, pop this out, and throw in some text. And within the grid cell, I am going to change the theme to whatever the primary color is, which in this case is this brownish color. It obviously don't look terribly great right now until we add some padding in there. So let's go ahead and set some large padding, and we can vertically align this to the center. Wait, that's horizontal line. Let me set to vertical align center. And you can kind of start to see how things might start be putting together here. So in this particular case, let me get back into here. I'm gonna copy and paste this and maybe just drag it around. Drag right under and maybe drag it up here. Sometimes dragging can be kind of a little bit of a pain in the butt here. So go here. Let me just get, I think I have grid cell under my grid cell here. Let me copy content in here and throw this over here like this, see if that works. There we go. So you can kind of see like you can compose pretty interesting layouts right out of the box. Um, and you can easily create like more complex layouts, which I'm going to show you right now too. So I'm going to delete these cards and move some of this text over here. Let's set this to light and create some padding on here also. And let's do this over here. Let me undo that. Set this theme to dark black. One thing that I'd like to highlight here is how like all the text kind of aligns really nicely. I mean, not the colors adapt very nicely. So what's kind of cool about this is I'm going to copy and paste some of these grid cells. So I'm going to do 2 of these. And then like with this grid cell right here, uh, I can set, I can increase the rows. So in this particular case, you can make kind of uh, layouts like this. I need to adjust the padding on this one. And you can see how you can kind of do complex visual arrangements on each of these. Yeah. So let me continue to move down our component list right here because I feel like I'm spending a whole bunch of time on the, like, the grid cells and stuff like that. But I just want to kind of show the power of this. And actually, there's one thing that I neglected to mention is you can nest these grid cells too. So or you can nest grid wrappers into grid cells. So if I remove the padding right here, I can drop a wrapper into a grid cell. So let me go into layout, drop a grid wrapper directly in there. And at this point, I can get in here and I can start dropping in grid cells if I'd like to. Grid cell. And so let me set my grid cell. I'm going to set it to large. So one thing to note is that the grid cell, like when I say like large screen, it takes into account the container right here. We probably could adjust this verbiage right here, but so I'm gonna set this to small screen size columns. change the theme to black. And you can kind of see that we can do like interesting layouts like this and stuff like that, which is kind of neat. Um, so I want to kind of move down our list right here. So I'm going to get rid of this section. And I am going to move down to our background image. So this is something that's pretty neat right here. So I'm going to drop in another section. I'm going to set the theme to black. Maybe drop in some like a card or something here. Let me drop in a full image cards because y'all haven't seen that yet. And so at this point we're looking like this, but you can also set a background image on this. And so we're going to drop this background image up here. And so the background image will cover by default the entire section right here. And sometimes you might have, like, let's say if we get rid of this full image card, you might have some text on top of this, or let me actually put in a heading in here. And let's say we have a very bright background image and this heading is not very visible. You can adjust the opacity of the background image. So I can adjust that down to 50%, and at that point you can kind of see that it's changing like right on the fly, which is pretty neat. Let's change this up to 20. Sometimes your background images have kind of a focal point in them, and as you get narrow, you want it to zoom on that focal point. Drupal core has this focal point module, but it's not integrated yet with Drupal canvas. So we did a little bit of like prop and CSS trickery where if we want the focal point to be, let me kind of just show this off right here. We want this focal point to be this road down here as we get small. We can set the horizontal focal point might be 20% and the vertical focal point might be 90%. Nope, that's a large image right there. So that's why we're not seeing that. So let's say 50. And as we get larger, or as we get like a little smaller, you're going to see it's gonna try to keep it as much as it can. So, well, in this particular case, it's keeping the whole thing. It's keeping it cover, but in certain cases, it can adapt properly, which is kind of neat. That's maybe not the best example. Um, but this allows you to give like really great, I don't know, visual variations as we're going through. So the next thing I want to kind of jump down is content cards. So the first thing I want to do is maybe throw on a couple, like get back to some grid wrappers here. And throw in some grid cells. So at this point, we have a new card called content card, and it's meant to just, it's kind of basic. It's meant to be used as like a news, uh, like maybe like a news list. Let's kind of create a couple of these right here. Kind of say like, if you put these in a row, you can easily create like views and lists and stuff out of them, which is pretty nice. You can create the same type of thing by, you can create like the same type of component by combining like text and headings and links and stuff like that. But we found that sometimes if you want to output through a view or something like that, which I consider to be like a pretty normal use case for this, that can be like a little difficult to template. The next thing I want to show is the icon list. So let's dump this out. I'm going to get rid of this grid cell. I'm going to have this grid cell maybe take up an extra large screen right here. And at this point, we have a couple components. We have icon list and I think icon list items. So let me see if I can find these in here. So this is kind of a really straightforward thing. Really straightforward component. It allows you to do a icon and some text. The text could be hyperlinked or it could not be hyperlinked. And when you go into your icon list right here, we have some different variations where you can set the size of these, and you can also select your icon colors, which I guess are primary and secondary colors, and are pretty straightforward. And you can also select the column width, where like if you want to make it a little bit larger and stuff like that. The next component that we have on the list right here is just a really straightforward one. It's called horizontal line, and we use this throughout several of the components. And it just gives us a horizontal line. So it's honestly not the most exciting thing, but it's useful. So I'm going to drop this directly under the first content card, and you can see that there's a horizontal line with the primary color right there. We can change that, and it also comes with some padding right here too. So let's say we want to get rid of the margins, and we want to change the line color to loud. You can see that it's there, and let me bring this back up one more time. Let me select it. Horizontal line, where am I here? Right here, it should be right here. And you can also select full width if it's small, medium, or large. And you can also have it appear in the center or the end for horizontally. In addition to that, we have some pretty cool changes to components. So let me get rid of the horizontal line. One of the things I'm excited about is we have a lot of different button variations. So I'm going to get rid of this grid cell, and I'm going to have this span a little bit larger. So large screen columns, I'm going to set this to 8. And then I'm going to drop in a flex wrapper so the buttons don't span the full amount. And I'm going to show you some different button variations that we have here. So the buttons will be under DripYard forms, and we can drop a button in here. So by default, it has primary colors in here. I'm going to make this a little bit larger so you can kind of see it. And let me actually add a arrow in here. So I'm going to type in arrow right. These use Font Awesome out of the box, which is an SVG library. So I'm going to copy and paste this, and you can see that we have like different different styles, so we can change it to our secondary color. You can kind of see what that looks like right there. And then we can also have things like we have an outline. And then, dark and light. So that would be dark. And let's throw in a light here. And we have a bear, and the bear is just kind of just looks like a hyperlink. So I'm going to set bear, and let me delete one of these. So you can, the difference between this and just like a regular links is this has the like the same height as your regular link, or as the buttons, so it aligns properly if you're doing some horizontal alignment. And I think I need to change these button sizes to large so they all like align properly. There we go. Let me use this button size to large because I want our demos to kind of look good. So you can kind of see how they look right there. I'm super excited about that. You can kind of see as I'm doing this that we have like a very, very interesting thing, a very interesting layout happening here with all these buttons. We also made some changes to icons. So we have a icon component right here. And this icon component, we can change the size of it. The icon component behind the scene uses Drupal's new icon API. And for those of you that haven't heard of new icon API, it's really neat. You just within your modular theme, you drop in uh, icons.yaml file. Like it would be in this case, it would be meridians.icon.yaml, and at that point, you can point it to your icon library. It automatically pulls everything in, and it's super nice. So some of the changes in icons are they are now able to be hyperlinked, and we can set some different color options on them and stuff like that, which is kind of neat. And if you do add a link in here, we also, I probably did not type that in, right? Um, we also have a link text for accessibility, and that's like really important if you're using assistive technology like a screen reader. We need to let people know where that's going. Let's see what we got right here. Um, we added some new options for headings. So we previously we had an option, of course, to center the text, but if you have a really long heading, sometimes that can look like a little weird. You might not want it to go all the way across. And so now we have some options for maximum width. So you can set that maximum width to something like 1,000 pixels. And at that point, it does exactly what you think it does. And so we added that to both the heading and the text components. And so a couple of other options that I talked about is like we now have secondary colors. And we just made some general theming changes. So as you go into, just going to show this on one of our demo sites right here. If you get, like, we made a lot of fixes to embedded media. So you can kind of see like here, like we have floated text I'm sorry, a floated image that floats to the left right here. And you can see these kind of all around this. Let me try to find one where it's maybe floated the other way.
And just to
And
clarify, this is just the WYSIWYG editor. It's like CK editor. This is not Canvas.
correct. Yes, correct. Yeah. So this is a standard Meridian article node right here. And with some CK editor richness thrown in. We use CK editor to generate a table, and then we added some images. And I just kind of want to shout this out because this is like there's a lot of like tender loving care that's kind of put into floating these images. The images, to align them properly, you have to kind of look at what's before them, look at what's after them, and at that point, set your alignment. And the CSS to do that is not it's not very trivial, but it's one thing that I personally like set up a lot of different test cases and found the right options and got that working. And that's like it's little things like that I'm really proud of within this theme. Um, so I guess Andy, if you want to kind of go back to you, you can show maybe some of the different variations of Meridian and stuff like that. I think you might be muted. I can't hear you.
Yep, I was muted. All right, so I think we can answer some questions now too, real quick, because there's a couple that have um, built up here. So Lee is asking, let's see, is that the same one? Okay. Basically, how many changes are going back into the other two themes? As you can tell, we've done a ton of work between the 1.0 and the 1.1 release of our themes, and that's everything is going back into all of the themes. So if you download update to Neon Byte or Great Lakes, you're going to get all the new components, all the things that Mike just went through,
Yeah.
which is amazing. It's like the work that we've put into this release has been like it's it's done a lot. Like I feel like our first release was we were trying to get the concept out, we were trying to work with Canvas, and even before Canvas we were trying to work out, layout builder. And this last release has given us the opportunity to just figure out like what's not working, what's a problem to maintain, um, what are the usability issues? And I feel like we've really nailed it with the grid system and the buttons and the new secondary color and really all these things. So yeah, rest assured, the updates are going into the other themes as well. And so if you have an active license with DripYard, then you can download the latest release whenever. And then, addition to that, there was a question about how do you choose between the three DripYard themes? And you will see some similarities across all of them. Obviously, we have a shared component library that we extend for all of them so that we can ship updates across all themes. So you will see some things that, hey, that looks the same in this theme as it does the other. The biggest change is the navigation, the menu elements, and the heroes, like the general presentation of the theme from like the landing page. Once you get down into the component level and layout and stuff like that, like you can really make the themes look very similar to one another.
Yeah, we,
Um,
we do have some like default styling for Meridian that like changes, our default border radius for cards and card-like components. We change around some of the card like some of the card visual elements where we don't have like the little arrows everywhere that we do with some of our other themes. And then the footers are also a little bit different too.
and I'll just pull those up real quick for you all to see. So obviously, Great Lakes has this interface where the hero's full screen. These are navigational elements in the hero, as opposed to like buttons that you would get with Neon Byte or Meridian. And then the menu is like a mobile by default kind of setup, where your nested menus are presented this way, and it's pretty similar to how it's presented on mobile as well. If you go into Neon Byte, you'll see that the menu is similar to Great Lakes, but you've got I'm sorry, similar to Meridian, but definitely a different layout. You've got icon cards. Um, all of the themes support up to 3 nested items in the menu. They also support like search and multilingual, and actually add to cart. So we have like Drupal Commerce integration. If you have a cart, then you have a nice icon that shows up in the header, or the nav bar that shows your cart items, and it expands and shows what's in your cart. So all of our themes kind of inherit all of those things. And so hopefully that answers the question about which one to choose. It's really just, which one you like the overall navigation and presentation of initially. And then from there, don't worry about like getting into Canvas and like building layouts, because you can pretty much do that across all of our themes based on the shared component library. And that also leads me into another thing that we've kind of had a hard time portraying to people. It's that if you think of theme forest and WordPress themes and stuff like that, people are used to an inexpensive theme that you download for 50 or $100, and it looks the way it is, and that's what you get. Our themes are more of a framework, and framework's not maybe the best word, because it insinuates that you're going to have to do a lot of work to get it there, but it's very flexible, and we want to show off the differences. So just in Meridian, you've already seen this layout, this hero, and then this is one that I put together, and then Mike put one together as well, so we could show off like a different concept. So we've got like the conservation demo, and then this one is a charter school. So you can see the similarities between the two, obviously, but totally different look and feel, right? I mean, it looks like two different sites. It looks like two different themes. This is the same theme. And even beyond that, I threw together another demo just to show you, like if you had an art gallery or something like that, like using different themes on the background to make it more vibrant. And this is a background image that's like that new component that Mike showed off, and it's slightly transparent so that the text is more legible.
That looks
Uh,
really good.
yeah,
Yeah, Andy showed me that this morning. I was like, holy cow.
yeah, and
Like,
we
that's
like
awesome.
worked on this morning. I'd hoped to work on it last night, but we got stuck in some recipe problems.
A lot of
A
frustration.
lot of frustration, but really cool stuff. Like if you come in here and like do some of these props, you can just see how, we just changed this like on the fly to like a really cool looking flag layout that's unique to all the other designs just by changing one checkbox on the components that we ship. So same thing with this. We can flip these. These are actually our testimonial components, but they work good for you know really anything that you like this layout of.
Yeah.
And so we ship a lot of these components that are kind of pre-built, but as we were showing earlier, you've got the patterns, right? And let's just create a new page and drop in some patterns. So all of our themes come with just about all these patterns. The hero is different across themes for the patterns. Neon Byte and a Meridian ship with a hero pattern, but if you drop that in, you've kind of got a quick start to having a hero on the page. And I'm going to go back and remove that because we've seen the hero. Let's drop in some of the other ones and just show you. So there's individual components that are labeled component, and this is like an accordion group or a tab group. And then there's section components, and these basically contain the entire section wrapper and the cells and everything. And there was a question also about if we have patterns for entire pages. We do not have that yet, but you can easily, drag in patterns. And so this, you could quickly build an entire page just with the patterns we ship. And the color is awesome. In case you were wondering, that's my
It's
art
kind of like
gallery.
it's a Florida Drupal camp color
It
almost.
is a Florida Drupal camp, yeah.
Yeah.
So then we go to preview. You've got this whole page layout just from dragging a couple patterns, and not only do you have the ones that we ship that can help you build sites quickly, but as a site builder, you can build these, save them to your pattern library, turn them over to your content editor, and they can quickly build pages from that. So yeah, I mean, hopefully this helps show that like regardless of the theme you choose with DripYard and the demo content that comes with them, like they're super flexible. You can really build any kind of site you want with any of the themes. So pick the one that you like the menu and the hero look and feel of, and go from there.
What if you want to make a change after and you don't know how to do it, Andy? What do you do then?
Well, there's documentation for one. So
Yeah.
if you go to our website, there's a ton of documentation on all of our components. I'll just pull it up so you can see that. If we go to support and documentation, let's see, I clicked on the wrong thing. There we go. All of our themes have all of the components defined. Right. So if you go into Meridian and you're looking at a particular theme, this is also another way if you're trying to decide like which theme do I want, come here and look at the components that come with each one. So they all, have a dozen or so components that are unique to them, but then there's the base that they extend where, the meat of our components are. But let's say you're wanting to write a views template and you want to use a carousel or something like that. So we could find the carousel. And then if you copy this and paste it into your views template and replace the values, then right there you have our carousel component, in your views template. So that's one way to do it. And that's obviously if you're more technically oriented. If you're not technically oriented, or if you need help in general, you just don't know, where to start, we're available for consulting. We're happy to build you an entire theme. We're happy to implement our existing themes. We're happy to write new components for you. We're happy to do training for your content team. So any of that stuff, we're available. We're more than just selling themes. We're, full service as far as uh, anything you can think of that's related to Drupal theming and even Drupal site building. I've got a lot of back end development experience. Mike's got a lot of front end experience, so it's a good pairing. So yeah, we're available if you need us.
Yep. And if you have questions about theming as you're doing stuff, if you or just need tips and tricks, when you purchase a theme, it comes with 2 months of support out of the box. You can extend that to a full year for an extra $100, and that just gives you access to Slack. And typically when people post, we're generally pretty quick about getting back with you. We've had people like say, "Hey, this does not work the way I expect," and we'll write custom code where they can copy and paste into their sub theme. I'm not going to say that we're going to do that every time. We can't build your theme, for $100 a year. But at the same time, like if you're in there and you need help, we're happy to help. And honestly, like I totally love it because there's been plenty of cases where people have said like, "Hey, this doesn't work," and I'm like, "Yeah, this could totally work better." And we take those changes and then we implement those into our themes.
Yeah, we've had a lot of activity on our Slack channel. So when you
Yeah.
purchase a theme, we and you have the support that comes with that. You get invited to our private Slack where you can basically message us directly in our support channel, and we've had a ton of engagement with that. People reporting bugs with our theme or
There's
asking.
only there's no more bugs though.
Yeah, we fixed them all, and there was only like one, and it wasn't even our fault.
Yeah.
Uh, but beyond that, we've helped people get workarounds. They've installed a module that kind of conflicts with something, and we've helped them, you know, given them code snippets or whatever. So we're definitely available. Um, Couple more questions coming in. I think I've pinned some up for the screen when we're ready. All right. Need more preview demos for each theme for different industries. That's feedback more than a question. And that is the next thing on our roadmap. So like this huge sprint that we've done to get to this 1.1 release, has taken a ton of time. It's been worth it. And now our next goal is to show, not only showcases of projects that people have purchased DripYard themes, are publishing. So if you've done that, definitely send it to us. We'd love to write a case study or work with you together on that to promote it. We are also in the process of rolling out examples. So this art demo that I showed earlier, the art gallery, that is an example that we will be putting up for Meridian. Like you click on Meridian and you can see more than just two use cases. You can see like 12 different completely populated site templates based on Meridian. And thanks to some AI tooling, we'll be able to do that because it is a huge amount of work to create these site templates from scratch. I mean, the ones that we ship with our recipes are like, there's obviously AI generated content and the text and the imagery, but they're curated to make sure they're showing off our components. So our next goal, yeah, like I said, is to roll out as many demos as we can to show the differences because we do have to help people understand that this isn't a theme for us. You're not buying a $50 theme that looks the way it is and comes with a bunch of junk. Like this is Drupal core, this is Canvas, and this is best practice theme that you can use for those tools.
That's well said.
All right. So Mike, I'll let you take this one. It's a good one.
Yeah, so at the moment, Canvas looks mainly for landing pages. I don't see you talking about editing view modes or content types. Do you know if this is on the Canvas roadmap for the near or distant future? And the answer is yes, we know. Next question. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so Canvas has the capability to do what's called content templates. Content templates right now works for the full view mode, and you can map like basic content into your Canvas pages. So like, we can map the title into a heading component. We can map an image into, our Canvas image component, the body into the into a text component, but there are a couple limitations of it. Like you can't do like very complex components. Like for example, if you want to do like taxonomy tags, that does not map to a component. I don't know of any way right now where you can output that via Canvas. And I would assume like if you have some custom field formatters and stuff like that, that I don't really know that Canvas is going to handle those right now. To tell you the truth, I haven't quite tested it. Um, Canvas out of the box supports only the full view mode. I think Drupal CMS has like a little bit of trickery in it where it also supports a card view mode. Um, but that being said, you cannot do the other view modes as of yet. That is something that the Canvas dev team, I believe, is actively working on. You can kind of see that, like obviously, the Drupal CMS team wants this really bad, hence the kind of magic that they have to get that in there. It's something that everybody wants, and I think once we get to that point, we can start like converting some of our demos to Drupal Canvas because it is in my opinion, a way better visual building system. But because it's so new, it just doesn't have that flexibility that the rest of Drupal has, and that's to be expected because Canvas is brand new and it's moving very, very fast.
Yeah, and Adam says that the content templates can be assigned to any view mode, but the UI is limited currently.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, you can imagine like that. That's the next step with Canvas for me. Like once that comes out, the ability to map pretty much any Drupal node field to a Canvas template, like the sky's the limit on what you can build at that point, more than just landing pages for sure.
hmm So the next question is, how did you manage to have layout builder demo content? Core's export does not include dependent inline blocks. And the trick on that is we don't do the blocks inline. We actually create custom block content for our block types and then include it like that. And that's a core limitation, but yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the challenges of building the layout builder recipe. But essentially, we create all the blocks outside of layout builder, um, build a layout builder page to place them, and then you can export everything.
Yeah. Will a recording be shared after this session? Absolutely. Yeah. As soon as we get that recording, we're going to throw it up on a blog post. We'll throw it up on our YouTube channel, and we will throw it up on our blog post, which will go out to like on social media and out to Drupal Planet and things like that.
Yep, you can subscribe to our newsletter and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're starting to post more and more videos to our YouTube channel, kind
Yeah.
of explainers about how to use our components and themes.
hmm
Yep.
And if y'all have any like follow-up questions, you can reach out. We already answered this question about the landing pages right here. That
Yeah, I believe that's it. So I
cool.
don't think there's any more questions. Let you wrap it up, Mike.
All right. So let's share my screen right here, and then we will pull down the slides. Man, where are my slides here?
Someone asked if this was lip sync pre-recorded. I just want to make sure they know it's not.
Yeah. So as Andy said earlier, we have our consulting services. So if you need help doing all this stuff, we're awesome. At least I am. I can't speak for Andy, but we're both pretty good. So roadmap. So we're working like, especially Andy's like getting heavily into AI, trying to like work on building out this demo content and put together pages. We are adapting our themes. We are putting in prompts. I worked a couple weeks ago on creating a big document that for artificial intelligence to know how to use each individual component. Um, and coming up is Florida Drupal Camp and DrupalCon Chicago. Andy and I are going to be at both. So Florida Drupal Camp's coming up at the tail end of next week. I am going to be working with a different Andy Bloom from Lullaby, and I'm going to be giving a training called Future Proof Your Drupal Theme. And I'm going to be giving that at both Florida Drupal Camp and DrupalCon Chicago. Florida Drupal Camp, the training is extremely cheap. I think it's like something like $20, but it's also the first time we're giving it. At DrupalCon, we're charging the full DrupalCon price, which I believe is like $500 per person for the training. And but at that point, we're gonna have been through it, so it'll probably be a little bit more polished by then. Um, Andy, you are giving sessions at both, correct?
Yep, that's correct. The Florida one, so both of them are based around site templates and recipes. The Florida one's going to be primarily focused on like how we build our recipes because we have multiple themes. They're inherited, and each theme has a set of recipes that extends like our base recipe and kind of like how you can organize recipes if you were to build a SaaS or something that had different features and you wanted to roll out, different feature sets to different sites, but have a common core. So it'll be kind of heavily based on that approach. And then I'm also doing a session with Adam at DrupalCon where he's showing off really how you can just build an entire site and run one drush command and have your recipe and everything you need for a full-blown site template, which is pretty amazing. I used it this morning to create the art gallery page, and it was cool because I was on a laptop, made it, dropped the zip file to Mike, and then he could have that entire site with all the default content, everything right there on his. So really cool.
Yeah, that's an amazing tool, Adam. Thank you for that. And I'll be co-presenting with Matt Glaman, who's on the Canvas dev team during DrupalCon Chicago. And we have a really cool session where we talk about how to do epic contributions to core. And we just talk about, like him and I together, like we get these ideas to add stuff into Drupal core and like I'll come up with these ideas, I'll run it by people, and then I'll like sit them in a corner, and then he'll do the work. And we get stuff over to finish line. We have done a lot of cool things, and the thing I'm most proud of for you front enders who might be in the audiences is we have got in the ability to disable all the caches and twig caching and stuff like that into a UI in Drupal core. So if you're doing theme development, you can just check a couple boxes instead of messing with configuration files. And so, yeah, if there are any more questions, now is the time. And if we could show those coupon codes one more time so y'all can buy those. Those are limited time only. And like get it while it's hot. And yeah, so that's it. Are there anything else that you can see, Adam, or sorry, Stephen or Andy?
I think that wraps it up.
Cool. Thanks so much, everybody, and feel free to reach us out, and hopefully we'll see you in person at those events.
Yeah, thanks for your time today.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.